Over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of clones of the Leatherman wave, and frankly, it hasn't made much of a dent as far as popularity of the Leatherman, and that's not surprising. I mean, Leathermans are really good quality, but I think the tool we're going to look at today is a clone that may actually make a massive impact to the bottom line of Leatherman. It's going to be a clone not of the wave, but of the Leatherman Surge. Now I have a couple of Leatherman Surges we're going to compare it to, but yeah, we have today on the table the DL30, and you're gonna want to see this. So before we get too far into this, I want to talk about a couple things. Number one, this is an initial review. It is not going to be comprehensive because we don't have enough time or enough people using versions of the tool to determine how well it's going to hold up over time. That is a very important thing we need to find out. We need to know if the heat treatment is good. We need to know how well everything will hold up. And unfortunately, there just isn't enough information out there yet. So it's going to be a surface style review. It's going to potentially be something that will make or break the tool. All right. The other thing I want to iterate is going to talk about intellectual property rights. A lot of people get upset when they see good tools or tools that they love, like the Surge, cloned. It's important to reiterate that the Leatherman Surge has been around for more than 2 decades. More than 2 decades. And the statute of limitations on all patents relating to that tool have since expired. It is completely legal for any company to make a version like you're seeing here with the DL30. Okay? That's perfectly fine. And thankfully, there is such a thing as statute of limitations so that we can have many of the good ideas continue to inspire new ones. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and talk about the tool itself. So right now I have it in grams. I want to get some weights. 324 grams over here versus 341. So it's a slightly different weight, but actually pretty similar. And then we'll go to ounces. 11.4 versus 12. And that's about what I expect. Actually, I think the Surge normally is a little heavier, but that might just because it has the add-ons, which sometimes they include in the list weight. Okay, so let's pull that out for the time being. In addition to the DL30, in the package you're going to get a sheath that has pouches on the side. It has a simple loop and a button and an elastic piece in the front to store the bits. So what happens is you're going to get 2 saw blades, which go in just like that. And you're going to get a bit kit as well. Now this is really cool. It comes with a very good combination of bits. I believe this is a T10. I want to say T10, T15, T20, T25. But security types. It's also going to have a variety of different flatheads. It's going to have hex drivers, and I can't remember which security bit this is called. Let me know down in the comments which one that is. I don't use it. I've never used it, but I'm pretty sure it's for certain types of panels. Let me know. Anyway, that simply slots right here in the front, like so. It's actually not the best design because the bits kind of catch as you go in. So there's that, but it works. It's there, you know, that's fine. So that goes in just like that. And then on the other side, what they had stored is a spare set of cutters with shims and spare screws, along with a tool that lets you exchange them. So actually that is very much appreciated. I do like that they include a spare set of cutters. I believe these cutters are identical to the ones you will find on a variety of different tools made by various different companies, including the DL1. Some of the Flisa tools, which I believe are all made by the same manufacturer, they all have the same cutter design and should work interchangeably between each other. So that is starting to become much easier to source. Very cool. Okay, that's what comes with it. Let's go ahead and talk about comparisons. I have two Leatherman Surges to play with, and we'll start with the straight blade. So the straight blade on the DL30 is in a 7CR series, where it is a little bit different with the Leatherman. 420HC is one of the best steels you can get for a multi-tool. I've gone through all of the steels that are available, and frankly, unless you're going to make it in Nitro V, AEBL, or 14C28, 420HC is probably the best balanced steel for this purpose because it has a high toughness rating, very high, with decent edge retention and decent corrosion resistance. It is very much the right steel and has been for a long time. And is still much better than the steels being used in the clones, all of the clones, whether it's a 3, 5, or 7CR. 420HC is still a superior metal to use to make multi-tools. All right. Now, both of these come with a small amount of up and down play, less so in the Leatherman in this case than the DL30. It's not going to be a problem, but it's worth noting there is no side-to-side play in either one, and that is also true with this one, although this one has a little bit more up and down play. Okay, so the scissors. I will admit I played with the scissors out of this video. You might want to look away if you're a Leatherman fan, by the way. This is rather embarrassing. Now, one of these is a brand new Surge, and I cannot remember which one. In fact, both of them are basically brand new. I have noticed something, though. I have substantially worse cutting performance, for some reason, with the black oxide variant versus the stainless steel. I've had stainless steel variants. I've always really liked the scissors. I think it's one of the best scissors made by Leatherman, but for some reason, the black oxide performs worse than the stainless version. So that's important context. Now, it will cut through things, but it seems to have more flex in the blade than I remember, and it really is struggling with the paracord. Now, this is actually survivor cord, so it's a little bit thicker, but just... It's not just... Look, it works all the way at the tip. That's insane, right? That is very, very, very good performance. Why do I test it with the paracord? Because it basically pushes it to the max. It forces the blades apart. It requires proper edge geometry to cut through. And this one even has a small bit of copper wire in it as well. See right there. On top of everything else. So it's a very good test of the scissors. Not even close, by the way. The thing is, though, with this being a 3CR, it's going to dull a lot faster. On the other side, wrong side. On the other side, we have serrated blade. Pretty similar, actually almost identical in design. They didn't really go very far from the design by Leatherman. Slightly different cutout shape. There is some burring that you can just knock off pretty easy, but otherwise it's very sharp actually. And I've actually had the same problem with Leathermans in the past, and actually a ton of Victorinox tools as well. So about the same. Would I say? I would say, yeah. Well, actually, the Leatherman has more play in this particular one. Let me try this one. Let me pull this out. No play in this one. So within variants, you might have more or less. Okay, now that is all but the exchanger. Now this comes, as you saw, with two saws, but it also comes with a diamond-coated file with a crosscut file. And actually, this crosscut file is very aggressive, which I really appreciate. So nicely done on that. It's very similar to the one you could find on the Leatherman. The big difference with the Leatherman is that the third side, the cutting side, is going to be a little bit better than the one you're going to get on the clone. I think it's definitely noticeable on that third side more than the other two. It does also appear to be completely flat. Where's my little metal? Here we go. Okay, I'm sorry if it's not focusing. What I'm looking for with that is in the past, especially when these clones first started coming out, the diamond coating would be thicker on the edge than it would be in the middle, making it a very well, not a very useful diamond file. This, however, is flat. I think they have taken that criticism and they've clearly improved it. And I say that because the clones all seem to be very familiar in design, in components. So whoever is manufacturing these is probably manufacturing all of them. Okay. Now, as far as the T-shank holder is concerned, it's a different design than the one on the Leatherman. And what's funny is I actually kind of like, well, they're different benefits. So the one on the Leatherman is much more secure because when you lock the thing in place, it locks everything in place. So it's more secure in that regard. But this is much easier to manipulate. So we're going to have to take this out and actually do some testing on it to see how likely it is to cause any problems. I don't really get the sense that it's any worse. And there's about the same amount of play in both of them, regardless of what saw I take. Now, I do find it also interesting that yeah, actually this has more play, funny enough. So I do find it interesting, and that could be because this is designed to take a thicker blade, whereas this one will not take the thicker of the two stock sizes. This will function with any of the standard T-shanks, but it will not work with the Leatherman version. And vice versa, by the way. Notice that there's a thinner space here. You could definitely modify it to fit the Leatherman, for sure, but it would require you to cut some of that metal away. That you need this extra space. All right, and vice versa, you can't do the same. For some reason, the shape is slightly different here, that it doesn't seat itself. It could be dremeled down, and you could also like remove some of the metal to fit into the DL30, but I just don't see the reason why you would do that, considering that the kit for the diamond file is about $10, and the total price for the DL30 is about $40. So, yeah, $37 is what I paid for it. Okay, that's going to be important later. All right, so let me quickly put this back together, which is very easy to do. Like I said, you could, when it's locked in place, you can actually exchange it. That's both better and worse. Okay, let's get to the inside. All right, so on the Leatherman, you have 3 smaller tools on one side, and then the other small tools that you have are the bit holder and the can opener, bottle opener combo. There are 4 tools located in the DL30. The width of the frame is wider to accommodate all 4 tools, and it's also important for the bit driver that it includes as well. So it has a large flat, it has a reamer awl, the small flat, which I think both the flatheads are thinner than they should be for their relative width. I might even grind them down to be a little bit thicker so they are more appropriate for their size. The small one's not as bad, but the big one, it's definitely too thin for the width. It's just from my eyes. Also, the other big difference here that I notice is in the wire stripping section. The one on the Leatherman is far superior. The V cutter is much, much wider. It's going to accommodate a wider range of wire sizes. And from what I was told, it's actually a very good wire stripper. So there's that. Now, reamer awl, very, very similar. Leatherman being a little bit sharper. Actually, it's about exactly the same, actually. Perfectly even on mine. No issues. There we go. Close that up. And the last thing we need to talk about, and we're going to spend a lot of time on, is probably going to be this bit system. So, you have, on one hand, you have the Leatherman flat bits versus ball detent double-sided bits. Now, I'm not going to go too far on a tangent. This should be a blowout in favor of the Surge. I really do believe that. It should have been a blowout in favor of the Surge. But this one problem is why these tools are becoming a lot more appealing. You can't replace the Leatherman bit kit right now. Right now, the pair bit kit, the $30 bit kit, which by the way is only $10 less than this, is sold out on Leatherman's website, has been for 2 months, and I have called 3 times and they have no idea when they are getting them back in stock. The secondary market for the bit kits are reaching astronomical levels. I have seen them for as high as $90. And the problem is that there's a couple of bits I use regularly, like a T6, T8 Leatherman bit. And because they are so soft, I break them regularly. And I can only replace them by buying an entire kit. I can't buy them separately. I would buy a 10-pack if I could, but I can't. And that is the other single-sided, $15 kit that I can't, that's out of stock as well for the same duration of time, 2 months. They have also, during the pandemic, from 2019 to 2023, they have pulled stock for the bit kit from every retailer that I can find, with the exception of Cabela's. So if you're not near a Cabela's, you're SOL. And right now, Cabela's is currently out of stock, as far as most people have told me so far. This item, these bit kits, are essential to the function of not just the Surge, but many other multi-tools made by Leatherman. I mean, there's got to be close to 10 multi-tools that are made. The Charge series, the Wave series, the Curl, the Signal. I'm sure there are more. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but it is an essential component, and right now out of stock. It is because of this reason I think that they are really going to struggle to convince people to purchase them. This being a hard-used tool really depends on its add-ons to be as good as it is. And it is a phenomenal tool. But as of right now, the only way you're going to be able to have it function is to use a bit extender on top of it, which runs about $20, about $40 if it's in stock, which, by the way, this has not been in stock for a very long time on Leatherman's website. I mean, you're going to spend an additional $30 just to be able to work with standard bits. Not ideal. This, on the other hand, uses ball detent bits. And sorry, I'm just for emphasis. It is incredibly easy to find replacement bits, but even more so, you can find bits that simply are not available for the Leatherman, like in the case of this particular screwdriver. This is the Tamperproof 27-in-1, and it has bits that are absolutely not available from Leatherman. They just simply are not. You have that. You have drivers that are down to as low as $10 to $15, which have, they have the ball detent basically all the way through. You can get these from Home Depot, any Home Depot in the United States, which is awesome. You can get them online. They're available on Amazon. They're available everywhere. Now, of course, these are made by Klein, and they're made in, I believe, Taiwan. And this is I think one's a magnetic version of the driver. Yeah, this is the magnetic, and this is the non-magnetic. But either one is going to provide you replacement bits, and then on top of that, you have the tamper-proof set. So if you were to buy this right here, $27 for that, plus $37 for this, you're under the price for the bit kits right now. Literally, the double bit kit on eBay is like $80. This is cheaper than just the bit kit for the Leatherman Surge. That is sickening to me. That's a big deal. So on top of that, it's very simple. All you have to do is buy a 1mm by 6mm flat disc magnet, neodymium disc magnet. Put it in the bottom of this. It will still function with the ball detent bit. You just have to make sure the ball detent is towards the taller side, because it basically just moves it up like that much. It'll still work. And then on top of it, it will function with standard hex bits. So if you don't want to go that route, you can buy a small magnet for very, very little. I'll try to find one to link down in the comments. And you're good to go. Sorry, there's someone backing up right now. That's why this is such a scary thing for Leatherman, because they have built themselves up to rely on a system that was very lucrative for them. It's not a bad idea. From a business perspective, I completely get it, why they did it. But if you run out of stock, or people believe that there's scarcity and it will no longer come back, or there's actually a problem with that supply chain, they may lose confidence, not just in the product, which frankly is not that great, it's very soft, but maybe consider some alternative, right? That's a really big problem. So I'm not saying this is better than the Surge, and I couldn't say that because it hasn't really proven itself. It's possible that after 2 or 3 uses, these plier heads just snap, and it's basically more than a paperweight, and that would make it pretty damn useless, don't you think? But I've seen a lot of comments from people on various different, responses for the clones, and there's mostly good experiences. And as a toolkit system that maybe you leave in a car, which I've talked about clones being good backups, this is probably a better combo than this because of the availability of bits that frankly are not, possible with the Leatherman. And if you lose any of these, you're basically SOL. If you don't have the bit kit or the bit extender, you're SOL. And if you have to, even without a magnet, you can have that little hex holder hold a standard hex bit while you're turning things, if you really needed to. And it's probably not that difficult to just put a piece of tape around, like a piece of Scotch tape around the bit to make sure it's held in place temporarily. You get my point. You can kind of finagle it. This became a much longer video than I thought it was going to be. We do have to come back around to testing this a little bit. In fact, there's a couple of people I would love to get their, real expert opinion on this. Like, I know Ben from Texas Tool Crib, maybe I can convince him to try it, because I really would like to know his opinion as a Surge lover, if this is even remotely close. But currently the price difference is monstrous. Here you have $37 to $40, and this is currently $150, and that does not include the $30 bit kit. So when you put all that together, you're talking $180 versus $40, and then on top of that, you can buy a actual independent, useful set of tools that function with it directly from Home Depot, where you can't find this anywhere. Let me know down in the comments, is this something that you would be interested in trying? And if you do, if you end up getting one of these from AliExpress, which I think is the only place to buy it right now, please keep me in the loop. If you have bad experiences, please tell me, because this is going to need to be a crowd-sourced feedbacks. We need to figure out if it's going to hold up or not. And the only way I can do that is if we have a lot of people using it simultaneously and giving feedback. Go ahead and leave it down in the comments. Anyway, this has already drawn on too long. As always, thank you for your time, and we'll talk again soon.